Welcome to the shit show.
Says we have an excellent connection, Tom. We will see if that holds true. It is the All Elite Wrap-Up, June 13th, 2024. Tom is over there on my left or right or whatever. If you're watching this on the live stream, we got Buck, yo mama, 2 times in the chat already saying, what's up, boys? Shout out to my favorite tag team since Trent and Chuck Taylor. Didn't see much of this episode because my cable was getting flooded out from all the rain we got yesterday. That sucks. Fuck yo mama 2 times. I will not be joining because I have a Stanley Cup Finals to watch with my Panthers possibly going up 3-0 on Edmonton. Hashtag Vamos Gatos. And then he says, have to catch up on this episode of Dynamite and All Elite Wrap-Up after the game. Well, we will see you back then. You can hit us up next week and talk about how great. Look at him. Tom, you puzzled by...
Oh, yes. You know, the hotbed of hockey in Florida.
Florida. That ice hockey down there.
Yeah, you know that ice hockey. Just churning and burning down there in Miami.
It'd be weird to, yeah. Especially when those sea levels start rising. We'll see how long you keep that.
Well, yeah,
keep that ice frozen
might
down
be,
there.
yeah.
Right.
Play some water polo, you motherfuckers. This is actually fun fact about the Florida Panthers playing the Edmonton Oilers in the Stanley Cup. This is the farthest geographically 2 teams in the Stanley Cup playing against each other have ever been.
Interesting. Interesting. Nice tidbit. But if Fuck Yo Mama 2 times can't join us throughout, that's your invitation if you're watching this live on the live stream to jump in the chat and talk to us, because we like to talk to other people too, right? We're just 2 dudes, right? We can get in an echo chamber sometimes. We need some other perspectives. We need some diversity, spice of life it is. Tom, we're going to talk about All Elite. I mean, if people watching or listening, if you can't figure out what we're going to talk about from the name, really, we don't have the time just to, you know what I mean, to re-educate you on how to read, I guess. So, Tom, let's just hop into it. Yeah, unless you got something exciting. Did you do anything exciting this weekend? Did you go to any fun events or did you do anything cool that like you can brag about?
Well, it's not like fun events, but if you'd like to know what I've been up to, it's been a lot of MRIs and imaging and test results. My tumor has shrunk. Huh? That's cool.
Nice.
So it shrunk.
It's
not
stirred.
significant. Yeah, not significant. So it's not really anything changing me. But at least it didn't grow.
But you're winning. You're winning now.
Yes, I am winning. So we did a lot of that. Hanging out, doing a lot of that kind of business. Watching the Royals beat the Yankees today in a walk-off by Miguel Garcia. That's what I'm talking about. 40-30, second place. Still got the second spot for the wild card. And also, Tim, it's June 13th. And as you know, that's Super Bowl ring day. Tonight, our Kansas City Chiefs are getting their 3rd Super Bowl ring in the last 5 years. So how about that?
For the second year in a row, even.
Second year in a row, too. Isn't that
For the
crazy?
second of 3 years in a row, they are getting their Super Bowl ring.
So wild.
Isn't that amazing?
So wild.
Isn't
That's
that
just
amazing?
going to happen every year until we all die. So that's what's really been going on and having fun with that, you know?
That is fun. All of that stuff is fun. I'm excited. Yeah, I did not get any MRIs done. It was more, house, outside work, stuff like that, gardening work, all that kind of stuff. So, and then just watching the All Elite Wrap-Up take my mind off of regular work, which always sucks, right? Regular work. Nobody likes regular work, right?
Hold on. You're watching us to get your mind off of work?
Oh, well, yeah.
Instead
Sorry.
of
All Elite
Wrap-Up?
Wrestling. Not, yeah.
No,
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
you can
No, I
watch
watch
us
this
too.
back. And I laugh at my
Love
parts.
it.
Your parts I
Yeah.
fast forward through, and then I watch mine and I laugh. Yeah.
Same. Good. I fast forward through my parts and watch your parts.
Nice.
Back. Isn't that crazy?
Good. Yeah. Yeah. If you're short on
man.
time, just skip over Tom's parts and just
Yeah.
watch mine. Everybody. Yeah. It's good.
Yeah. And the amount of time I take up gas bagging, it's like 15 minutes an episode.
That's true. Man, I wonder if we could get a data run of what the breakdown of talking is.
80-20 my way, probably.
Yeah. We got 10 years worth of data here. This could be some.
Yeah.
Somebody, I'm going to talk to some of the data folks I know here and see if we can get a little fun project on here.
That would be fun. But yeah, let's talk about AEW
right.
Dynamite. live from the Wells Fargo Arena in Des Moines, Iowa, the granddaddy of them all. And we kicked off with
Of them all?
Swerve Strickland, obviously.
All
Tim,
of them.
what else?
Des
What's
Moines.
bigger than the Wells Fargo Arena?
Shout out friend of the
Des
show,
Moines,
Todd
Iowa.
Countryman. He was there. He asked if we were going to make the trip up, and I was like, I don't think we're making this one. The 3 hours on
To Iowa?
to Des Moines to Iowa. Yeah.
Are they buying our tickets?
Yeah. Guess expensive
Going
these
to
days, my guy.
Iowa? Going to Iowa?
You know, they show this thing on TV nationally.
Yeah.
Drive by.
I couldn't think of any reason to go to Iowa. What would be the reason to go?
Like, I'm close enough with Omaha. I'm like, I'm like right
Yeah.
there trying to like hide from you all watching over the border.
Yeah, they sell corn across the country, so there's no reason to go for that.
Yeah.
Iowa, man.
This sounds like a bunch of wind and corn up there. I'm all right with that. I don't need that.
White people, which was a lot.
I live in Kansas.
In the audience.
So I know the feeling.
Well, yeah, you got it right there too. I'm in Kansas City, so I still like to say, hey, diversity everywhere around. That's why. Side note: I was talking with someone today, and I really kind of am starting to grow on the idea that making Kansas City like Vatican City, where it's just like we're our own little thing and fuck all you people
Not Missouri,
around
not
us.
Kansas, just Kansas City.
Kansas City, and then everything else that's around. Fuck you guys.
Right. Put a big wall around it. I heard walls are great.
Well, hold on. Does the Vatican City have walls?
Yeah. Yeah, the whole thing is like a giant compound. Yeah. All right.
Is it? I don't know. I have zero idea.
Yeah.
I thought the person I was talking to was telling me a joke. He's like the Vatican City. And I was like, oh yeah, like Narnia. And he's like, no, Vatican City's a real thing. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, it's a real thing. I was like, okay, so what makes the city so like cool? He's like, it's its own thing.
Yeah, it's
really?
It doesn't belong to It's like its own sovereign nation essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought he was making up like some Lord of the Rings bullshit, but nope. Real thing.
I mean, it's
the more you know. Look at that. Shooting star. The more you know. But yeah, we're the granddaddy of
I'm
them
honestly
all,
surprised nobody
Arena.
has gone on like a holy war like vengeance like tour against us over the years. All the things we've said, we've never upset some wacko.
Well, yeah, probably have. But here's my thing that I will say so far in the 11 plus years that we've done this. Mine's all out of stupidity. I really just don't know anything. You know what I mean? Vatican City, a real thing. It's not that I hate it. I just didn't know it existed. Yeah, the Pope. You know that guy?
Yeah, the Pope.
He's there.
Yeah, behind walls. Yeah. He drives around in a bulletproof car.
Well, that makes sense. Look, Elon Musk is making us bulletproof trucks. So, we love that shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we love that shit.
What has he ever made that's not been successful?
Saw one in the wild.
Really?
In the wild yet? Yeah.
Did you trip the person when they got out?
No, I mean, I was driving and I saw it like in a parking lot and I was like, what a dork. It already looked like you know how like sometimes after oxidation happens and like one panel on a car will be slightly lighter than the other one, and they didn't have like a new paint job or anything like that. It wasn't like a replacement, just like it wore the clear coat off for some reason. It already looked like that. I was like, dog, didn't you pay $100,000 for that thing?
Is it electric or gas?
I don't know. I think it's electric.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, because I still have a gas powered car, which whatever.
Yeah,
so
me
if
too.
I see one at Quick Trip, the best gas station in the world, I'm gonna fucking make fun of that person. But if it's electric, nerd. Hey, Swerve Strickland, who isn't a nerd, kicked off the show last night, and he's like, "Hey, Forbidden Door in a couple weeks," and I'm gonna paraphrase the rest here. He said, "Will Ospreay, you're not a killer." Okay, fine.
You ain't.
And sure. Then the Elite come out and they're like, hey. Okada does his bitch, right? That's starting to become his shtick. Hey, shut up, bitch. Hey, you bitches, right? All the fun stuff. Cool. And here's the first conundrum of the night. The Elite challenge Team AEW to a blood and guts match, which, Tim, I will punt this your way. Why? They won Anarchy in the Arena.
Yeah, it's weird, especially like so loosely. I feel like you could say Christopher Daniels is in charge now. No, we've got to get that. We're going to do blood and guts, and if we win, you're out, right? You pick 5. We're gonna get, we're gonna find somebody, and then you go, okay, right? Like, give us a reason for why they're making this challenge. Because why? Like, didn't you guys twist the knife already? Aren't you in charge? Kind of like your only beef should be with Christopher Daniels at this point. I feel like, I don't know.
And on top of that, one thing that we'll get into next year is after the Elite challenged Team AEW, they said, hey, this is a 5-on-5 matchup, so will you be our 5th? Which again, second conundrum, don't. Make it 4 versus 4. Like, I don't know why we had to make it 5-on-5.
Yeah, and why didn't you think about this already before you made the challenge? And then couldn't you just say, and this year it's 4-on-4? Like, I know.
Yeah, and then now if we're in kayfabe, you would think potentially that the Elite are delusional enough to think Swerve will join them, right? So there's no reason to like hedge your bets on that.
He's AEW champion. We're Team AEW. Let's all work together. You're a businessman.
Right, what I would do there, though, again, let's stay in kayfabe, is as we saw here, Swerve says no. Then the Elite try to gift him some Elite Reebok pump-up sneakers, and he says, I'm not a size 9, which suck it, who cares? And throws it because, hey, your foot's a size 9. That means you're a bitch, whatever. And then throws him into the crowd, right? So then at that point, again, let's stay in kayfabe. That's when I would, as the Elite, go, well, then it's 4-on-4. Fuck it. Hey, we thought it was going to be 5-on-5. We thought Swerve was going to say yes. He didn't. Fuck that. We're in charge. We're the EVPs. 4 versus 4. Because now they're stuck scrambling, and again, in kayfabe, to find this 5th member when they issued the challenge. So, madness. And so they're going to beat up Swerve Strickland here, right? And as they're kind of cornering him, and Swerve is like, I got you, I'll beat all you up. Here come the Acclaimed with Billy Gunn. And now we're going to have a fist fight. But then Christopher Daniels says, stop. No, we have a great night of action. Everyone get out of the ring, except for you, Jack Perry, because you're going to be in a qualifier match for the TNT Championship ladder match, which I think is taking place at Forbidden Door, correct? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, or is it? Yeah, no, that's right. I believe you're right. That one's at Forbidden Door.
So then again,
right, because they announced the match for next week, but that's the MJF match, right? That's next.
Yeah, that's MJF
right,
and
so
whoosh,
I think this one's
right?
Forbidden Door. Yeah.
Right. So conundrum number 3, which, guys, if you just tell me the things, I can help you with these plot holes. Because here's conundrum number 3. The scapegoat, Jack Perry, is in a qualifying match to then get to Forbidden Door to be in the TNT Championship ladder match. But 5 minutes before, him and the other members of the Elite are saying, well, excuse me, I'm wrong. This is my fault. This is conundrum 3 is completely dumb fuck my problem. Blood and Guts is not taking place at the pay-per-view like Anarchy in the Arena. That is why. Blood and Guts is going to be, I believe, July 24th, June 24th. I don't know dates. It's all a construct.
I see, right.
That's going to be a Dynamite.
On one of those like Dynamites, yeah. Maybe they'll just name the Dynamite Blood and Guts or something.
Right. That's where I was confused, but now that I think it through, that's the difference. Because I was thinking, like, why would you double book yourself, Jack Perry? Yeah. But he isn't, so I'm an idiot. However, you know who's not an idiot? Us. But Dustin Rhodes, maybe is. Because he's 58 years old, probably. And he loses to Jack Perry. Why? Why? How long does one last ride take?
Yeah, man, this is a weird character in the history of AEW, right? Like, we understood when he first showed up with the Cody stuff and, right, the brother thing, and we did that. And honestly, that felt like that was the was the thanks for everything, pal, right? Like, and I don't know. We're still going.
Yeah, it felt like, well, and even to a certain degree, hey, the first ever TNT championship, as we had that tournament, that kind of felt like to me that should have been your last ride. Because if we recall back to that tournament, Lance Archer beats Dustin Rhodes, who then gets to the finale against Cody Rhodes, and then Cody beats Lance Archer. Right? Dustin loses on his way out. Cody avenges his brother loss. Hey, there's the story. Bye, buddy. But we still got him out here, all dick and bones over here, just
Doing
running
a thing,
around.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just jumping on each other and losing. Side note also, it was brought to my attention on threads, and I agree with it. We all give shit to John Moxley for bleeding almost every match. Dustin Rhodes, quick second, right there, right
Yeah,
behind
every
him,
match. It is every match.
every match here. But Jack Perry wins, and he advances to the championship ladder match at Forbidden Door, live on pay-per-view June 30th. Next up, we get Dion Russman versus Arush. And it happened. What did you think?
Yeah, I guess fine in the context of like, this is about Roosh. Let's make Roosh look like he's beating the absolute shit out of somebody. Nobody that we have that we want to feature on television a lot needs to get their ever-loving shit kicked out of them. So, again, this is not out of the realm of believability for me in that professional fighting organization rolls into town, local star gets a chance to see what he's got, right? Like on a match against one guy, right? If you can put up a good show, maybe even get a win, maybe we'll call you back next week, next time we're around or something. So that's always fine with me, as long as we keep it short. Which, what's short in AEW, I guess. But this was clear, right? This was Roosh is in charge.
Yeah. Here's where I will just say, being somewhat of a critic of AEW, which I do love AEW, where we could have done a little bit better with this segment. So Roosh beats up Russman, and then he's gonna, I forget he's gonna basically beat him up more after the bell. And then MJF runs down to the ring, and we get a pull apart. Okay. The best attribute, even though MJF is a phenomenal professional wrestler, when the bell rings to when the bell is ringing for the match to end, right? In between those two bells, he's very, very good, up there with the rest of them. However, I would argue his best attribute is promo. And why he isn't cutting a promo here and then running down to the ring to have a pull apart with Roosh feels like a missed opportunity, right? We know MJF has one-liners for days. He probably has, 600 notes on his phone of just one-liners on every single wrestler on the roster. And so I felt like we could have done that here to make it pop. And then he runs down, or maybe Roosh runs up, and then we do the pull apart, I'm going to kill him to the locker room, right?
Right. No, I don't disagree with any of that.
So then it is announced by Excalibur that next week, commercial free, it's going to kick off AEW Dynamite, MJF against Arush. How do you feel about it being commercial free? How do you feel about it kicking off the show? What do you think about the matchup?
Commercial free is always fine, as long as we make it worth it, right? Like it's got to be something good. So they're gonna have to bring it, right? And I'm sure they will. These guys they're gonna meet it all over this thing, right? They're gonna go hard hitting in this match, and they're gonna try to kill each other. So I think that'll be cool. And I do like that we're getting this now, right? I don't think there's much more meat of like some promos back and forth or some pull aparts that we need anymore. We've established what this is. These guys don't like each other. You know what I mean? Roosh is like, yeah, you don't just get a waltz back in here. Look at me. I'm a physical god. What are you gonna do about it? Let's go. And we're gonna go. We're going to get it. I'm here for it.
Breaking kayfabe for a moment. I wonder why. I can't think potentially, and I don't know the schedule, but is it potentially maybe in lieu of a game 7 because the NBA finals are currently going on right now? But as we found out, Boston took a 3-0 lead. So most likely that series is ending on Friday. But I was curious because I know that this summer, AEW and WWE, and really the rest of television, has the Olympics to compete against, right? Because the Olympics are going to take up a lot of the oxygen of the casual TV fan. Um, so I was like, is the Olympics starting? And I don't think it is. So curious on what the real reason is. If you know, Tim, let me know. Or if you know who are listening or in the chat, let us know because it'd be nice to know. Let's move on. We get a great. It would, wouldn't it? It would be good to know something that you don't have to look up yourself. Before we get into this match, we get a fun backstage promo with Kyle O'Reilly, Orange Cassidy, and Mark Briscoe. And Orange Cassidy is like, hey, Statlander and Trent, I got someone who's just as vicious, excuse me, as you. And it's everyone's favorite, Mick Foley with the Teletubby, Willow Nightingale. She walks up and she's like, yeah, motherfucker. And then Kyle O'Reilly, he's Kyle O'Reilly. But then Mark Briscoe cuts this promo using words I don't think he knows how to spell. His energy for days, going all around the world with getting to his point, which was entertaining for every second of it, and says, we're going to beat you guys. I thought it was fun. How do you feel about Mark Briscoe right now? He is our Ring of Honor heavyweight champion. What's your kind of litmus test or status right now on Mark Briscoe?
I think Mark Briscoe is always like never not bad, right? I'm never see Mark Briscoe and think like, this is going to suck. But I'm also not like taking it seriously from a pro wrestler competitor standpoint. So the ROH world title feels out of place right now because now he feels more Santino-ish. I mean, he always had that like wild, crazy comedy-ish, right? And again, now I'm not watching ROH. The presentation might be different on ROH. But here at AEW, it does feel like I'm everybody's favorite crazy cousin who we just can't quite control. And that's fine, right? Like, that's a fine character. I enjoy him. But yeah, it does just feel like, okay, well, I don't think anybody's in danger around Mark Briscoe, right? If that makes sense, right? So it's just kind of like, all right, you know.
Maybe we should. Maybe we should give him things that he could potentially. Because if you recall, one thing they actually did this a little bit. If you recall, when it was Eddie Kingston, Adam Copeland, and Mark Briscoe going up against the House of Black, we had Mark Briscoe just hitting all the pyro and fireworks trying to get the House of Black that was up on the stage. Maybe we do more things like that. Not to say we steal from Stone Cold Steve Austin, but it could be Mark Briscoe in a vehicle for this week, and it's a tractor or it's a helicopter, whatever it is.
Doing something crazy that like you're like, Mark, put it down, stop, you're gonna kill everybody. And he's like, maybe that's what I want to do. And you're like, all right, calm down.
Because one thing that it does work in his favor, where other quote unquote comedy acts don't, is he does have a believable, violent side to him when he's wrestling. He obviously, you go to that dog collar tag team match that him and his brother had against FTR. So it's not as if, and he's had countless singles matches with Samoa Joe and so many others. So it's not as if like, hey, if this bell rings, he's just going to be yuck comedy guy. Like he'll throw down. But if we're going to continue this kind of promo, either let's ramp it up or let's dial it down and get him a little bit more serious, because I agree with you. He's starting to kind of swim in the waters of Santino or, R-Truth, that R-Truth, realm. Yeah.
Which again, these fine roles and great memories from both of those. But I just didn't think that's what they were trying to do with Mark Briscoe. But maybe
I will say it's not as insulting as the R-Truth character is. That needs to go away. It's insulting. It feels racist. That's where I'll leave it. But we're not talking about that show because that show fucking sucks. Is it tribalism? Yeah, it is. Because guess what? I like things and I don't like other things. Crazy.
It's not tribalism. It's just that show fucking sucks.
Yeah. Oh my God. Do you prefer Nikes over Reebok? I thought you loved all shoes. Fuck you. Then we get this six-man tag. It is, as mentioned, Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, and Orange Cassidy versus Roderick Strong and Kyle Fletcher and Takeshita. Tim, I got a question for you. Roderick Strong comes out with the Kingdom, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett. No Wardlow. Do we just play Where's Wardlow instead of Where's Waldo? Where's Wardlow each time? Because it's like sometimes he's there and sometimes he's not, you know?
There could be some fun with that, but, not long term, obviously. Well, look, I think we said from the get-go Wardlow didn't fit with this group. Wardlow wasn't long for this group, but I also feel like we can't just not mention it. We can't pull the old WWE like Wardlow was never in that group.
Yeah.
We're already kind of doing that with Adam Cole, maybe. So I don't know. Yeah, look, man, Wardlow is now venturing on that like, oh, Wardlow's here today. I forgot Wardlow existed. Yeah. Oh, he'll be gone again in 2 weeks, right? Okay.
You know, that Where's Wardlow game, though, where what you could do with it is find the power bomb, and it'd be like, someone's power bomb backstage. You found Wardlow. Like, that's what you could just have each week, like, lights go out and he power bombs someone in the ring. You found Wardlow. I don't know. That was just because you could, like, zoom out, 100,000 foot view or whatever they call it, and just do like an AEW like find game, and it's find Wardlow power bombing the local enhancement talent, and then you like see Adam Cole and Britt Baker kissing, and MJF is I don't know, counting money and all this stuff, and then there it is, Wardlow's power bombing whoever it is. I don't know.
Yeah, whoever it is. Where's Wardlow, and then everywhere you find him, he's just destroying
power
stuff. That
someone.
could be fun.
Yeah, just a power bomb, because that's the thing. It's
yeah.
a power bomb. Like, because the picture could literally be him like throwing.
And they could know they're on the path when they walk in and they see a table all destroyed, and they're like, he was here. He was here.
Yeah,
he was here. When was he here? And people are like scared, and they're like, he went that way.
Yeah. And then you hear and then you run around the corner.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Some guy's in the hood of a car, like power bombed, and he's like pointing that way.
Yeah,
chasing him. Yeah, where's Wardlow?
You know who could do that is Christopher Daniels, right? He needs to keep the locker room under control. He is an authority figure.
Where's Wardlow?
He's chasing. Where's Wardlow?
He could sell it so good too. God, he could. I like this Christopher Daniels, like sprinkled in. I don't want him too much, but he's good, man. I've always thought he was, like better than I think than we get out of him sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and again, I feel the same way about Christopher Daniels as I do Dustin Rhodes. I don't dislike either one. But in a wrestling capacity where, for example, Dustin Rhodes in this TNT championship qualifying match, come on, get the fuck out of here. Just like if we did a tournament for the World Heavyweight Championship or the Intercontinental, or excuse me, the Continental Classic or whatever it is, it's like Christopher Daniels ain't winning it. So like, let's just get him out of that spot, right? That's how I kind of feel about him. Both are good. Just let's not act like they're really competing with the rest of them.
Right.
What happens here? We get a victory. But from who? It is Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher spiked Mark with a pile driver and scored the pinfall victory. That's a big win for the Callis family. Good to see them actually win something. And then Trent came down and he ground and pounded Orange Cassidy. And then Willow's music hits, and I guess that made Trent run off. Again, are we flirting with intergender matches? Because if this is kayfabe, I don't know why Trent would run away from Willow. No offense, but you know what I'm saying? What do you think about that?
Yeah, this is still, like, as much as we've talked about, we like, right? The blendings of the Chris Statlander is involved with the Orange Cassidy and the Trent and the Willow. I do feel like we're venturing into a bunch of stall moments with all of this, right? Mm-hmm. We're kind of just like, oh yeah, they don't like each other, right? We're not really progressing it anywhere yet. So I guess to be continued, I guess, is how I feel. Yeah, I'm kind of like positive and patient.
Mm-hmm. I will say, anytime we can get Stokely cutting a promo, I'm always in favor of. And we get this kind of pseudo promo here where as Willow's starting to run down and Trent kind of is starting to move away, Statlander grabs Willow and assaults her from behind, in the entrance tunnel, right? And then Stokely Hathaway is like, Willow, wake up. And then, the next time, we're going to drag you to the ER, right? Stokely's always fun. So at least we got that out of it. Let's keep it moving. We get, I don't know. I don't really want to talk about that. It's a video package aired hyping Shingo Takashi. Nailed it. The Rampage Dragon, the never open weight champion. You want to talk about AEW having a ton of fucking champions? What's the never open weight championship?
Man, I don't know what any of that stuff is, man. There's too many over there too, it feels like, but I also don't watch, so I mean, maybe, but it feels like a lot. Every time I hear about NJPW, I hear like I'm hearing about another title
juniors
that I never heard of before. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And I don't understand juniors, but then the heavyweights, but you can graduate to the heavyweight ranks, but you have to get through all of these. It's just convoluted to me. Again, if it's for some people, you keep watching. Then we get Christopher Daniels backstage, and he says, I've got some news for the Elite. Next week, Tony Khan has decided that the Bucks and Okada will wrestle in eliminator matches where if the opponent wins, obviously, then they're going to earn a either World Tag Team Championship match or a Continental Championship match. And all the seconds, so anyone accompanying these wrestlers, are barred from ringside. What do you make of that? Do you think potentially this is where we get our 5th member revealed for the Elite?
Yeah, maybe. Even though they're supposed to be barred from ringside, right? Maybe we get
Well, but it's not a second, right? Hey, I just come in, fuck that guy, right? I'm not affiliated right now, as you know, with that person.
Yeah. But does it automatically give the other person the win? That's interesting. I don't know how that works. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Yeah. I get the idea when they do these, like this thing. Nobody can be there, right? But I just also kind of like this. At some point, that rule is there to be broken, right? So yeah, maybe I think this is where we get right, like
I think in a tag match, it's easier to get around it with being dastardly heels, but also honoring that there was no seconds, right? You could get Matt Jackson kicks the opponent in the dick while Nick Jackson is distracting the referee, right? Like you could do that and that would be dastardly, but hey, no seconds came. When it's Okada, that's where my AEW senses are starting to tingle, where I'm thinking maybe this is where we see the Hangman. That's who I think the 5th person is. Do you got any guesses on who the Hangman is?
Or who the 5th person is?
Yeah, we know who Hangman is. It's Adam Page. But do you have any guesses on who the 5th person is? That's better.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be that, I feel like, unless it's something cheeky like it's Brandon Cutler and he's there to get fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, and he's just going to get bloody and gutty, for lack of a better term. But if it's serious, I feel like it's Hangman, and that's a hell of a swerve, right? Maybe we get Dark Hangman with a black mustache and,
So we did get to see Brandon Cutler, I think it was on Collision, laying down the law, and then he got fucked up. So at least we know Brandon Cutler, Team Elite, not Team AEW. I would think the fun thing to do is if you're going to continue to drag this out, not drag it out, but if you want layer on top of layer on top of layer, having Brandon Cutler have a crisis of conscience and side with AEW over the Elite, I think would be fun. Now,
there's money in a Cutler redemption story. Like we talked about the one where like if they were down and out and stuff.
Yeah, for a limited period of time. Because then he would be in no man's land where it's like, hey, aren't you the Young Bucks friend? And it's like, but I'm a babyface. Kind of like when Cutie Marshall left Cody Rhodes. And it was like, yeah, but we know, brother. We know. So just stop. Just stop.
Yeah.
So yeah. Let's keep it going on AEW Dynamite. We get The premier athletes, Ari Daivari and Tony Nese, with Smart Mark Sterling versus Samoa Joe and Hook. Now, before we get into this, and it also accompanies Hook and Shibata, or excuse me, Hook and Samoa Joe is Shibata. I want to back up just quickly because this match brought about a really fun segment on Collision where Samoa Joe starts the segment with, I believe, and I'm not looking it up, so again, we don't fact check here, but I believe he started the segment with, hey, speak and spell. I think he said, or speak and spell, or spell and speak, referring
he
to
did
Shibata.
say something like that. You're right. Yeah.
Hey, spell and speak. You got this thing recording? And they start to have a side conversation where Samoa Joe's like, so lacrosse, is this like something new? And Hook's like, no, it's one of the oldest sports in the country. And Joe's like, I don't believe you. And the Hook's like, no, it's real. And then it led to, okay, are you ready to go? And then Hook's like, yep. So then it's revealed, open up the door. We're beating up the premier athletes because remember the premier athletes tried to punk out Hook and Samoa Joe on Dynamite during a promo segment. So here they are beating the shit out of the premier athletes. And then they grab Smart Mark Sterling and they say, we did this to you. We did this to you.
We did this to you.
Throws him to the
like that,
yeah. So fast forward to last night, and Hook and Samoa Joe are in a wrestling match with the premier athletes. Hook tries to do the walkaway. Did you catch this? Where Ari Daivari did a jump from the top turnbuckle, I believe it was, and Hook he didn't move to the side. He took a back step. It's better when you take a side step.
Right.
You just take a step back. I mean, it's still fine, but it's also like not as cool.
It's less smooth, right? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. He did go to confirmation to Samoa Joe, where Samoa Joe gave him a.
He's like, I was working on it. What was the other thing that he was asking him about? He was like, "Oh, your dad." He's like, "Why does he wear orange?" And he was like, "Syracuse, Syracuse orange." And he's like, "Bro, he hates Syracuse." And he's like, "All right, whatever."
Yeah.
He's like, "Fine, all right."
Could be though. Who knows, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as mentioned, Shibata is accompanying Samoa Joe and Hook. Samoa Joe and Hook get the victory. Excalibur closes the segment with, is this the birth of a new trio here in AEW? It very well could be. So I will pose this question to you. Let's assume we're not doing singles for all three guys, right? Are you preferring Samoa Joe and Hook tag team? Hook and Shibata tag team with Samoa Joe as manager? Or I don't think Samoa Joe and Shibata, because it really hasn't had that strong of a connection yet. Or would you like to see the trio?
I would not like to see the trio. I'm done with the trios. I think I again, we don't have enough time, it feels like, to have both a tag team and a trios. Mm-hmm. Right now, I would almost, as a way to stick out, not do tag teams and do trios instead. Right? If you're going to do one or the other, but I don't know. I don't think I need a bunch of trios, especially when they're just three random guys that aren't like a team, right? I think what always worked well with tag teams that I like the most is when you kind of get their tag team, right? I don't say they have to look like twins and wear the exact same thing, but Street Profits still dressed alike, right? Like, and they had a presentation, right? And that kind of stuff. So and especially, I thought we were getting a mentor-mentee relationship with Hook and Samoa Joe, and it feels third wheelish with Shibata. Especially feels third wheelish because the whole gimmick with Shibata is the Google Translate and all the extras and stuff like that. So I get it fits in the comedy-ish scheme, but again, same thing we were talking about with Mark Briscoe. I don't want this to go too comedy. I want them to be funny, cool, right? Like I want them to be funny because they're saying cool stuff that's funny, not because they're just goofy and funny, right? And that's where unfortunately, as funny as this stuff is with Shibata, that's where we're going to land with it every time. So if he's with somebody long-term, that's what it's going to turn into, right? If he's there briefly with somebody, I think that's where we get some saving grace from it, right? Like it won't wear out as quickly, but yeah, I don't know. I would rather this stay Samoa Joe and Hook.
I agree, because also on top of that, Shibata is a, you know, legitimate veteran in professional wrestling, right? He
Yeah.
is known as the wrestler. Over in New Japan, he created a name on his own. Hook, even though we love Hook, is still a rookie, right? He is still in the, early years of his career. So Shibata to be mentored by Samoa Joe, which again, Joe, I believe, started his wrestling career before Shibata, so it's not as if that couldn't happen. But it's just like, does Shibata need you? Unless it's for English lessons. Like, what does he really need Samoa Joe for?
Yeah.
And even more so, Samoa Joe, his criticisms have been directed at Hook, not Shibata. It's been, man, you're going after Shibata now. That's what they got you doing. And it's like, Shibata has always been kind of the straight man where it's like, hey, I will also want to fight Jericho. And then Hook's like, well, I'll fight you if I have to. You know what I mean? It's not Shibata making aggressive gestures towards Hook. So I wouldn't mind even if Shibata just had a clean break where he's like, hey, I've always wanted to be the Ring of Honor heavyweight champion. I'm going to go challenge Mark Briscoe at the next Ring of Honor pay-per-view. That's a goal of mine. Thank you for, riding the road or whatever you want to say. I'm out of here. And then we get a Samoa Joe Hook, either tag team or mentorship. I think actually I prefer a tag team, because a mentorship would only lead to me, one outcome, right? Samoa Joe either rides him into the ground, or Hook gets too big for, gets a big head and thinks that he never needed Samoa Joe as it was. So what do you think? What are you doing over there?
Responding to a service here, asking them why my goddamn internet is so slow right now and causing problems with our live stream. Tom, trying to get it fixed.
No.
Provide good service to our folks over here. But anyway, sorry.
But what do you think? What do you think? Samoa Joe, Hook tag team, or would you like the mentorship?
I kind of like the mentorship better than the tag team, honestly. I don't feel like we have a tag team division so much, right? Like, and I don't feel like this is necessarily a tag team, I guess, unless they were like, hey, let's go win these tag team titles for some reason. But I haven't gotten that from them, right? This does feel more like maybe a little less mentor-mentee and maybe just a little more, hey, ride the roads, big brother, little brother kind of thing, right? Let me show you how to be cool and tough, right? Like that kind of thing, right? So maybe tag team is the way that has to go, I guess. Sorry.
Well, you know how you could quickly get it into a tag team? Because our tag team champs, even though they're not really singing it on the rooftops here, are the EVPs. So the EVPs could target one of the two, right? Target Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe's like, oh, you guys want to fight? I got a tag team partner, and it's Hook. Or they target Hook, and Hook says, oh, I got a tag team partner, it's Samoa Joe. And now you've got, drastically different presentations as far as Hook and Samoa Joe and the EVPs. So that would be a fun clash of styles. And then obviously you got tons of Ring of Honor stuff there with Samoa Joe and the Young Bucks. And so, yeah, that's a way you could make this a tag team, is if you just have the EVPs, who are the tag team champs, target one of these two individuals, and then the other one says, I got your back. So should be interesting to see what happens. Speaking of, though, real quick, of the trios here, we kind of do have a little bit of a trios, I guess, feud with the
gang.
Gold Gangbang. Yeah, the Gold Gang. And the Black Gang, the House of Black, the Black House of Black Gang, and the Gold Gang, right? We're just doing colors.
Gold
here.
guys and the black guys. Wait, no, that's the wrong thing too.
No, that's not what we're saying.
That's it.
Because you know what? None of them are black.
None of them are black. Right. Yeah, the House of Blacklist.
The House of Blacklist. Yeah, so at least we got something there. Although, I don't know, House of Black starting to feel like the default trios, right? It's like you graduate from Death Triangle to House of Black, and then after that, then you go to Acclaimed, and then once you've accomplished all three, you just get like you just vaporize into the air. It's a trios team. We have done all three. Then you go into the sky and never seen it again. Okay, hey, we get the best version of Mercedes Moné, and that is not talking because she's wrestling here against CMLL's female talent.
Yeah, that
Zeuxis.
another name. Yeah, yeah, I don't know what
Nailed
it was.
it.
Yeah.
Every time. We all know what I'm saying. Old Zeuxis, out there in Wells Fargo, the granddaddy of them all, in Des Moines, Iowa. And Mercedes wins. Again, I think this is the best way to present Mercedes Moné. Wear the fun clothes, have the fun hair, do your silly dance so that all the drunk people in the crowd can do it with you, and then kick some ass. I like this Mercedes Moné. What says you?
Yeah, same, right? Like, as you said, her best work is her ring work, and it's highlighted here. As much as we were saying we didn't know this person's name and can't pronounce it well, obviously she was good and put on a good match here. And that's good. Like, not every match is a storyline and a feud, right? And sometimes, especially when we're doing the Forbidden Door thing, we get these kind of matches, right? Where it's more of an exhibition match, if you will, right? It's right. Here's some talent versus some of our talent, right?
Well, so the tie-in is that this lady is the partner of Mercedes Moné's opponent at Forbidden Door.
Right.
So
okay.
there's
Gotcha.
the tie.
So there is a little bit of a tie there. Yeah. Okay.
I beat your best friend or your tag, however you want to phrase that.
Right. So even that fits. So, I mean, that's fine. And I've said this too. I like that AEW is kind of presented as like the main stage of the independent wrestling world, if you will, right? And everything not WWE, as you were, right? So sometimes we get these like, here's a rising star from somewhere you never heard of, because like how else would we hear about them, right? If we're not combing the internet ourselves. So that's fine. And this worked. And like I said, when you're putting good talent in there that can go, you're going to get a good match out of it. It's not disappointing in that regard, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. I will say this though, up until this point, and this is not their fault because it is for me, how I prefer wrestling. I know that we are AEW fans, and AEW is supposed to be, again, where the best wrestle. Okay. But I also need stakes, consequences, and vulnerability from one or both of the competitors. This match here, no one thought Mercedes Moné was going to lose. No one thought it. There wasn't a fucking thing that we ever thought Mercedes Moné is going to lose randomly on Dynamite, right? So when you're competing in America, for international people who may be listening, side note, when you're competing with Game 3 of the NBA Finals, I'm going to kind of turn away when I know that there's, as great as wrestling moves are, and they are fun, and we'll get to one little cool thing between Phoenix and Ospreay in the main event, but even then, I'll see it as a, condensed clip on some social media platform. So if you do this, I'm kind of turning away.
Yeah.
So I understand the best wrestle, and I love wrestling. As mentioned, though, no one ever fucking thought Mercedes was losing this match. So just to be full transparency, I watched this match this morning because I wanted to see Game 3 because the Mavs were on a 22-2 run against the Boston Celtics, and I was like, what the fuck's happening? Gotta see that. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's the thing there is like wrestling gets some love because it's one of the few things in this day and age that's live all the time. And live TV, gets viewers more so than none. But we still have DVR, and live sports are infinitely more spoilable than like a throwaway wrestling match, like you said. And even in fact, if I get spoiled on this wrestling match, I kind of wasn't, right? Like I kind of knew he was going to win. And furthermore, didn't really give a shit, right? And I know people who liked it, but but even that, but listen, but hear me out. Even people that liked these competitors and were enthralled by the match, I still don't believe that you guys really cared who fucking won, right? Like I can't believe that a lot of you cared if either one won either way. You just enjoyed the match, you enjoyed these people, right? So again, like I'm saying, if the outcome is like meaningless, like you said, over here something where like a championship is on the line, right? Like I want to go watch that for a second.
Yeah, and the only way that this does become meaningful, in my opinion, is if Mercedes loses, right? If Mercedes loses, then we're going to get Tony Khan's the biggest idiot in the world. Oh, we're going to get, why they're burying Mercedes, less than 6 months in, all of that stuff, right? That's the only time that this match would ever create headlines, is if she does lose, because then you could never have it happen. Well, then why would you watch?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like, again, the conundrum of wrestling. It's cool. Love it. I do love it. But if you ain't got anything behind it, it's circus away.
I keep going back to that one video. Wrestling isn't wrestling, though, right? Like, when I'm tuning in to watch wrestling, it's not because they are wrestling in the ring, or at least only because they're wrestling in the ring, right? Like, again, because I know this is a show, right? I have a reason to care why they're wrestling, why they're whatever, because I know they're not, right? Like, so I gotta, like, to help me pretend as if I need a reason, right? To some extent. Well, even if you told me this is for better standings, right? Or money, or a prize is on, $500,000 is on the line for this match. I'd be like, all right, like at least that's something.
Something might happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, I know that in 2024, we're all talking about how our attention spans have been so short and all of these things. I reject that to a certain degree. But I will say there's a reason why we went away from Lou Thez in the 1940s. It's because that was kind of boring, right? But Lou Thez was giving you the Lou Thez press and giving you a body slam off the middle turnbuckle, right? But like eventually we're like, well, Lou Thez wins, or Bruno Sammartino wins, or whoever it is, right? Like, and then we needed more story. Anyhow, something that did have a story was backstage. We get Renee Paquette speaking with Timeless Tony Storm and Mariah May. Now, before this backstage interview, we get a highlight package of Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May doing a photo shoot, dancing. They're looking fun. They're having fun, kissing at the camera. Whoop, whoop, whoop. We're so fun together. Then we go black and white, and we get Mariah May at the bosom of Timeless Tony Storm. And Mariah May essentially is speaking for Mina Shirakawa here, where she says, hey, next week, ahead of your match at Forbidden Door, Mina wants to do a contract signing. Huh. Interesting. Second bit of news I want your feedback on, Tim. Look at that. Huh? Look at this. There you go. Give the feed guys this. Right there.
The balloons make an appearance in every episode anymore. I like it.
Love it. But it was announced on Collision and brought up here in this promo. Timeless Tony Storm entered Mariah May into the Owen Hart tournament, which the winners get a championship match. So what's your thoughts on Mariah May speaking for Mina, and what's your thoughts on Tony putting Mariah in the Owen Hart tournament?
The love triangle is, you know what I mean? We're nearing an explosion of some sort, I think, right? I'm ready. I think we've reached a point where it's ready to pull that trigger, I think, because it's, I don't know, it's fun, but it's venturing into weird, where it's like not making too much sense after a while, right? Like, so we got to do something here, right? Either another twist, or let's pull the trigger and something happens here, right? Yeah, let's bring a fourth in. Let's make it a foursome now all of a sudden. Let's just get weird, right? I mean, again, I like that this is all out of the box, right? Like, there's no other pro wrestling characters doing this, right? There's no other storyline like this. I do think it's loose. Like I think some of its substance is because it's weird and it's different, right? I would say if you wrote it all on paper, you'd be like, okay, but what, right? Like
Well,
what's the
I
payoff
like
here?
it.
What's the point? Yeah,
The payoff is, well, I think, they know, obviously, but we'll
sure.
find out. But I do like on paper, you just say, hey, there, because again, we did this with the men, but I think we're doing it better with the women. But we did this with the men when it was Jericho and Bryan Danielson fighting over who will be the better mentor for Daniel Garcia. Now that got convoluted, and this person, this and that. This is so far not where Bryan Danielson and Chris Jericho also hated each other and just had different philosophies. This almost feels like the mentors are a little jealous of the other one, right? No, no,
Oh,
no,
they
no.
are.
I'm actually, yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's the interesting part about this that's different from when the men did it, which I find more interesting. Now, the Owen Hart thing. I don't know about you, Tim, but I feel this was all made for Mariah May to win. We're going to get Mariah May. Oh, what? I happen to win. Oh, shit. Guess we got to fight for the title. Here's my question to you, though. Because the thought I had is, let's say, get to Forbidden Door. Toni Storm beats Mina. Well, Mina's pissed. So how can Mina get back at Toni Storm, even though she's not technically in AEW? Well, you keep having Mariah May win without her even knowing it, right? Mariah May gets knocked out or whatever it is. Mina goes in there, body slams her opponent.
Kansas City
And Mariah
punt.
May's like, yeah, and Mariah May's just like by accident keeps winning and is like, Tony, isn't this great? And Tony's like, it is.
Yeah.
But what the fuck, right? And now
yeah, she knows Mariah doesn't see what's happening, so she's like, "Oh yes, darling," but I can't I can't.
Yeah.
She won't believe me if I tell her that Mina's doing this, right? Like, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I've still got it. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then the payoff is Mariah May knew the entire fucking time, and they both Kansas City punt Toni Storm.
Or what if she leaves them both in the dust and she's like, "I use both of you," and now they're both like laying on the ground.
I mean, that would be cool.
Looking at each other like,
yeah. Because then Mina goes away, right? Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
Because then Mina goes away. Because again, she is not a full-time, at least as we understand it, not a full-time AEW wrestler. So she just gets screwed over, leaves. But then Toni Storm, and this is where we've talked about, and I love this idea, where then we send Toni Storm into another decade. We send her into the 70s.
Well, and I would even like if
something.
Mariah May comes out of that too as like no longer ditzy, no longer like unaware, like it was an entire act the whole time. And she's like, "I used both of you chumps. Like, you suck." All of a sudden she's whip smart, right? Like she's fucking in charge shit, champ, running things. And everybody's like, "What?" And then Toni Storm's like, "No, this can't be." And like you said, goes crazy off into another time, into another era of timeless Toni Storm.
Tim, let's have more fun with this. Because again, we're kind of light on content for this episode. So let's have a little bit of fun. Side quest here. This would be fun with that. Okay, so let's go with this theory we're working. Is we get to the end of the match where Mariah May, who won the Owen Hart tournament by accident because of Mina, gets to the match against Toni
falls
Storm.
And oh man, roll up. Yeah.
But Toni Storm loses to Mariah May. As you mentioned, Mariah May says, "Used you both. I was always the shit." Mina goes away because she can, and it's easy.
It was me, Austin.
Use that away.
It was me the whole time.
Well, so then here's the thing. So then Mariah May, as you mentioned, does come out. Bitches? Like, you thought I'm dumb? The fuck you thinking,
you all fell for it, idiots.
Yeah. And then you continue, because again, hey, you lose the title, but maybe that doesn't, make you go off into insanity, right? So you have her, Toni Storm, going out there with Luther, and then the ultimate stab in the fucking back, because we've seen all throughout this time, Luther always looking at Mariah May is like, that bitch ain't up. She ain't here for any good reasons. And then Luther turns on Toni Storm as well. And then that's the final thing. Because if we do this thing like we're theorizing, which would be fun, it would be hard to have Luther every single spot, right? Also be
So that's it.
70s, also be 80s. Yeah.
So Tony Storm's going off her thing. She got Luther there, and that's when Mariah drops the bomb. She's like, no, this wasn't just me figuring it out. She's like, I planned this years ago. Like, this has been from the start. And she's like, and to prove it, turn around. And then Luther, does something like, throws her shoes or something, right? And leaves and goes and stands with her. And then that's where she's just like, no! Right? And loses it. Yeah.
She could say, I always had this plan. And like you said, because it's always been right behind your back. And she turns and Luther has a shoe and just hits her in the forehead with it. And that's what sets her off.
You should have taken your own advice. Watch for the shoe. We can even get Luther speaking. He could speak. He could say, now you watch for the shoe. Throw her.
Yes. That would be great.
And hire us, Tony.
Yeah. What wasn't great was the learning tree. We had another fucking segment with Chris Jericho. I get it. You're Mr. Rogers, whatever the fuck it is. I don't want it anymore. It's not funny to me anymore.
The best part of this was two signs in the crowd. One that said, Big Bill has no charisma and you can't teach that. And then another one said, this sign does not respect Chris Jericho. I love that. I was like, perfect. Yeah, man, this is, again, it's just, they jumped the shark in this, in that it wasn't the repetitiveness of it that was annoying. It was just it, right? It was what you are was annoying, right? But now it wasn't that it was repetitive and overbearing. Yes, right? But you don't need to manufacture that now, right? It already was that, is what I'm saying, right? Like, you don't need to lean into it to make it worse. Like, we were already annoyed. We don't got to do this so much. And now he's done. Remember how I like, and when I always say sitcoms that go too long, they over characterize. That's what he's done with this already, right?
Yes.
Like, already everything is talking like this. And I was like, but you weren't doing that. Like, that's not what we were booing and saying too much Jericho. Like, I get you're trying to do a thing here and you're trying to make it, but it's just, it's over. Again,
I don't want it.
Already done. Like, okay, I'm done with this. This is not the new list. This is not the new, right? Like, this ain't it. Well, especially with this cast of characters, man. I'm sorry, but look, Brian Keith is fine and he's good, but like, he doesn't fit with this.
Nope.
Like, Big Bill does not have a whole lot of charisma, right? Like, it just doesn't. This looks like the oddities, right? I just don't get it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it kind of looks like rinse repeat with Chris Jericho, where, he had Santana and Ortiz in the inner circle. Well, why? Well, let me tell you this backstory that I just made up. Okay, fine. And then it's the Jericho Appreciation Society. Well, why do you have 2.0? Well, let me tell you this backstory that I probably just made up. Okay. And now it's fucking, come on. Oh, you have another tall guy in your group, just like Jake Hager? Neat. Oh, you've got another potential mid-card champion, like Sammy Guevara. This time it's Brian Keith. Neat. And then after this is done, you've got a tag team that you're going to use to beat up people. Yep. Like,
oh, you got a couple lines that you're going to hit. Like, again, it's just, it's too much now. I don't like it. I don't know. It's not going to go anywhere either. Like, nobody's going to, there is nothing. No one's wanting this. There is nothing that, we're not going to get Big Bill over with this. We're not getting, Brian Keith isn't going to like leave this group and become our new favorite guy. Like, this is just dead in the water already.
And again, not to break kayfabe, but I will here. We've always tried to talk about what we see on the TV and judge what we see on the TV. We try not to find out more about the real people because that's fucking miserable. However, I couldn't miss what Chris Jericho's wife likes to say in their household. And maybe we don't fucking need Chris Jericho right now. How about we just get past this election season and it comes back after whatever happens?
Because I know there's a few things I don't know. Just a few. I know Chris Jericho, I know he lives in his house, right? I don't know how many people live in his house, though, right? But I was assuming the we that she's mentioning in her house, of the two people that I know live in that house, the things they're saying we say makes me not want to hear what Chris Jericho has to say. So like I don't know, man.
Well, and of the 3 words that were used, tell Brian Keith the 3rd word you say.
Yeah.
Let's find out if Jericho is still respected by Brian Keith.
Yeah. Hey, look, we saw what happened to Hulk Hogan when we found out he said it. So I mean, like I don't know what we're dealing with here.
This is bad. Again, we're breaking kayfabe here. But the only thing that I could hope for, and this is not great, but is that they have an open marriage and like Jericho actually doesn't live there. You know what I mean? Jericho's like, hey, if we were to get a divorce by now, it would be fucking terrible. So we've decided to just keep the assets together.
Yeah, like I live in the guest house. She
lives. I don't love that.
Talking about her and her boy toys. It ain't me. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That could be
I mean, but
hope.
I would not be. I mean, Jericho's an odd guy. It wouldn't.
Well, but to your point, we have crucified Hulk Hogan for saying that and also lying, and strike 1 to strike 2 against also Chris Jericho. You know what I mean? He has all the same. Well, I wrestled in front of 128,000, brother. Like he just doesn't say brother at the end, but he's kind of the same Hulk Hogan. With a weirder chest, but we move on. We get Daniel Garcia just ran through Nick Camarado. Good to see you there, Nick.
Who was the guy with Nick? They didn't cover that. Am I missing Nick Camarado on the collision in the Rampage with some new gimmick now, or what's the deal?
He's in Ring of Honor, and essentially. I cannot,
because I didn't recognize it was Nick Camarado until they said it. I was just like, "Who's this big motherfucker?" And then I was like, "Oh shit, it's Nick Camarado."
I can't.
It's like
recall his name
when
right
Elias
now.
Shaved his beard is what it was. What it looked like. Right? I was like, "Oh shit."
But Nick is doing a gimmick with this individual who, again, don't remember the name, but it's similar to the Snapping Guys. You know that team with Lance Archer. I can't think of their names either. But, you know, the guy with the tattoos and the dreads, the white guy with the dreads, and then the fat guy.
The
Righteous.
The Righteous. Okay, so they're doing similar to that? Okay.
This individual is doing something similar to that, where it's like, come follow me, my son. And then Nick's doing okay. Almost like
because it looked more like a Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin kind of thing from afar is what it looked like. But
I still think, if you recall that video I sent to you many, many months ago, it's still stuck in my head because it was genuinely impressive. But there was that backstage footage at an AEW show where they had that dumbbell. And they're like, if anyone can fucking pick this up, you're the shit. And they had Wardlow couldn't fucking do it. Satnam Singh almost did it, but couldn't do it. And then Nick Camarado was like, oh, you mean this thing here?
Like, this fucking thing? Played hacky sack with it.
That's where I would be like, hey, I know the world's strongest man just left our company, but we got the next one, and it's this guy, and just have him throwing school buses at people.
Just,
you know
just
what I mean?
don't show his back.
What's wrong with his back?
Well, no, you saw it. There's a reason he's that big.
Oh, well, who cares? All right, that's fun. Yeah. Look, it's not real. I've never, if what you're doing is not genuine, real competition.
Right. Yeah.
Do all the fun drugs you possibly can. I encourage that for everyone. Fun drugs are fun. That's why they call them fun drugs. Fun drugs make you look fun. That's why people want to use them. Fucking do it.
This is the best PSA we've ever produced.
It's true. You can clip this too. I stand 100% behind it.
Fun drugs. That's why they call them fun drugs. Like, who the fuck calls them fun drugs? You call them fun drugs.
Everyone calls them fun drugs. Many people are calling them fun drugs.
I understand. Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, I know the fun drugs.
Says it. Everyone says the fun drugs.
You're clearly not hanging out with the cool kids, Tim.
But the caveat is, again, if you are not playing a contact sport, or if you're not actually competing, because there is something to say about baseball.
You're not in charge of small children.
but Well, even then, you get the slow drugs, and then that gets you off the fun. You know what I mean? Like, there's
That's
balances.
true. Yeah, there's all
Yeah,
kinds of fun drugs. There's the uppers, there's the downers. Yeah.
yeah. I know plenty of people. Who cares? I know plenty of people on the fun drugs who oversee the supervision of children, and nothing's happened so far.
It's probably better for the children. I'm gonna be real honest. Them kids can get on your nerves.
Well, no, because then they kind of act like a kid, and then everyone's having fun, right? The adults having fun, the kids are having fun.
There's that too.
You know? But yeah, always do the.
We've got a friend that owns a comedy club. Sometimes you know what I mean. Sometimes the fun drugs are mandatory for the job. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oh, those fun drugs. Also, I'm talking about the show fun drugs. Yeah,
right. Yeah,
do all of those. That's so fucking cool. To feel strong.
Come out looking like Scott Steiner.
Strong?
Yeah. The bicep has a bicep.
Yeah, you got softballs in your arm. That'd be fucking awesome. I just can't do it.
You a big motherfucker.
Right there. Right there. Okay, let's keep it going because right before our main event, the bastard Puck says, I'm angry again. And I'm at
his
my
promo.
very best when I'm angry.
Dude, his promo was awesome. I mean, his promos are always good, but like this one, I like where he was like, but I've sucked. Right? He's like, and that pisses me off. Right? He was like, so he was basically like, he was just like, so that ends now, right? So now somebody's got to die, right? Was basically what he said. And I loved it. I love that he looks legitimately like he might believe he's this crazy guy that's going to murder folks.
Because obviously we can't do it now because the toothpaste is out of the bottle, as they say. But if you could rewrite everything, kind of going back to the inception of AEW and when all these individuals came in, I almost prefer that everybody dies, not be Lance Archer's, and be Pac's. Because then it's a different tone. Lance Archer's is like, everybody's got to die because I'm the baddest motherfucker, right? Like, that's essentially what he's saying.
It's basically like, everybody in my path dies, right? Like, it's like,
because I'm the best.
Because I'm a wrecking ball, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Pac says it as like a...
Your time is coming. Like he's the Reaper, right?
Yeah. It's a more Dexter kind of cut through the bullshit. It's happening, right? Like,
so
I like
you could get it. You have a program, whoever you want to give it to, you just have a program that eventually leads with Archer, and they're like, no, everybody dies, but it's you this time, right? And then they just maybe if it's one of these where he's taking a contract somewhere else or something, or he's going to be gone, and you're like, hey, do us this favor on the way out, huh? Everybody dies, and now we're going to give that to
Ricochet.
Max Caster.
Then we get to our main event. It is for the AEW International Championship match. As mentioned, just like with the Mercedes Moné, no offense, but champion Will Ospreay wins against Rey Fénix. Did anyone think that this was gonna be
if you thought he might lose,
don't be a stupid bitch.
Because he wasn't.
Right. Now, here's the thing that you could potentially do there is because we eventually need, going into Forbidden Door, in my opinion, clear cut something here. Because Swerve and Ospreay are kind of occupying the same space.
Yeah, but it's just this professional jealousy right now, right? It's just this
but we need, because you could have shocked me, is let's just say Prince Nana goes into business for himself and is like, fuck Ospreay and that title that he has. He ain't getting two. I'm costing him the championship. And Swerve's like, what the fuck? And then you have Rey Fénix be your international champion. Then Ospreay is legitimately pissed.
And he's even like, dude, chill, man. Like, chill, dog. I got this, right? Like, as what Swerve is saying to Nana, right? Like, calm down, man. Like, I give you orders, man. Right? Like, step in line.
Because then you could... Because at least for me, not to spoil my pick, but I guess I'll say it here. Swerve isn't losing this championship. We're not giving Will Ospreay 2 championships within 6 months.
No, and so something happens here where this is it's only the world title on the line, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I think Swerve just still wins clean. Maybe somebody screws with Ospreay, so like he gets a clean victory, but like Ospreay was distracted, right? That kind of thing, maybe, right? No, Ospreay goes off on somebody else.
Now, I will say my feelings on this would change if next week or last night someone cost Ospreay the international championship, because then it's like, well, no, we're just elevating him here to this spot. Now, right? I can see that
if he
happening.
gets cheaply cost the international title, especially by Swerve and his gang, well,
yes, that's where it could happen. That's where, because to me, pro wrestling lore is, if it's not title versus title, whoever has the more important championship doesn't fucking lose it. Like that's,
right.
And I know AEW's doing things different than WWE and all of that, but it also happened in TNA. It happens, I believe. In
there's only a reason you set up rules like that, right? Like, why wouldn't it be title versus title? Why wouldn't the world champion be able to take a lower title if he beats that champion? Like, that makes no sense.
Yeah. So
a bunch of nerds.
There they are, bunch of nerds. So there we go. We get some fun moves. We get the fun move set from Ospreay and Phoenix that they've recreated from a previous matchup with the
All
and then
the
Ricochet comes out.
Yeah.
Right? Wouldn't that be funny? Ricochet comes down from the crowd and then just does a flip to himself.
So is that coming? I mean, is that he's coming here, right? He's coming to AEW, right? Like, he's not going TNA. No, but he probably wants to do the NJPWs again and be the AEW and probably do all the things.
Old Fish and Chips here has a story where he's looking at a pillar that says Ricochet on it. So, if he wants it.
Ospreay.
Because he's
Fish
English.
and Chips. Yeah, right.
Chips over here,
old cloudy skies over there.
yeah. Well, soccer ball. So there we go. We get that, and then Swerve gets into the ring, and and that's our show. What'd you think?
Yeah, we get the kind of stare at, especially so we can get them both faced in the shot. We get the over the shoulder look of what I mean, looking back at him when he's holding two titles. Fine. I'm a little less impressed with the build to getting us to Swerve and Ospreay that I thought we were going to get. I was like, man, they're both on fire. I thought we would be like, oh my God, I don't know where they're going to go. And now I'm kind of like, oh, this is how we're doing it? Like, it feels kind of like we're just tripping into it, right?
Side note, one thing that I've always thought is to get the crowd excited that's at the shows, but then to get us, the viewing audience, out of these kind of weird, awkward spots. Do all this fucking stuff before the show. You can easily say, hey, everyone, before the show, our champion Swerve Strickland has something to say. And he starts to talk. And then Ospreay's like, ho, everyone thinks he's the face of the company. It's me. And then you can just do some weird ass silly stuff, right? Where you're doing that stuff. You use that as your B-roll for your Creed music video.
Yeah.
But we don't have to watch it here where it's like, oh, but they're looking over the shoulder. I think that would be a cleaner way to do it.
I feel like the tension was hotter for Mercedes Moné versus Willow, right? Like,
oh, hell yes.
And like, these guys were both just as over as those two were, right? So, but I feel like this is lost steam.
Yeah, I do feel like, though, somewhat of that with Mercedes and Willow was a little bit, and maybe I'm in this camp, of the rejection of Mercedes. Like, no.
Yeah.
Willow is our girl, and you're not coming in here.
We already told you Willow, and now you're telling us her? Like, fuck that. Yeah,
no.
I agree.
Yeah.
We will not get that with Ricochet, I don't think, huh? When he comes over, though. I think that he'll be welcomed with open arms, don't you think? By the crowd?
Well, I think
his promo skills are just as lacking, if you ask me.
Hey, Tim. Here we go. Here we go. I don't know the contracts. So that caveat, I want it to be known.
Liar.
But if you say Swerve Strickland to beat old Will Ospreay gets one of his rivals from earlier in his career, and it's Ricochet who cost Ospreay the match.
And now
now Mogul Embassy, we're rebuilding up. Prince Nana can do all the fun heavy lifting for Ricochet, who could look like $1 million and do
Prince
his
Puma
flips and shits.
You got Prince Nana and Prince Puma.
Oh, dude, he could easily reference that too. He goes, "Oh, you're Prince Nana? I remember a prince one time," and just keep it moving. Like if you get it, you get it. But if not, we don't acknowledge it. Yeah.
I knew a prince once.
Prince Nana could do his fucking speaking for him, and we're building up the embassy to where whoever does take out Swerve, you got to go through Ricochet, this person and this person to then get to that person.
Well, and Ricochet is one of the
Swerve.
few who, and for a while, I mean, there's been Adam Cole did this as well, but like there was a crew of guys that made sure to keep their name on the WWE side of things, right? Like, so that's an interesting look too. That like he would come over probably as Ricochet, right? Like we wouldn't have to be like, and now it's Phil Stevenson or whatever the fuck his name is, right? Like I don't know what his name is, but yeah. So that'll be cool. Again, all that yet to maybe not happen. I don't know. That's a lot of speculation right now, of course. But.
Oh yeah, that was just me reckless speculation, which we probably need a sounder sometimes for me when I just speak off out of my ass,
Yeah.
Like
Reckless speculation.
Like obviously he's a fucking asshole. Like I don't know. He donates to the Boys and Girls Club, right? Like I don't know.
This is reckless speculation by Tom and Tom alone. Please do not.
Yeah. Here's another thing about that asshole.
We make no claims that these are legal facts.
Exactly.
Real quick disclaimer.
But here's a question I have for you as a professional voice actor, someone who's got paid for using their awesome voice, and someone who pays attention to this. Ricochet comes to AEW. You want his, I guess, wife to replace Justin Roberts, or you want to keep Justin Roberts in that spot?
Oh my God. Oh no, they're both no. I do, just out of morbid curiosity, I want to see how quick the people saying she's the greatest of all time stop saying that if she were to come over to AEW, right? I want to see how quickly that would go away, because I already disagree with that, right? But like to see them suddenly be like, well, she wasn't good anyway. Be like,
Lillian
you guys are just
was
selling us that
honestly
she was
the best.
Yeah, you guys are selling us on her clearly being light years above everybody in history.
No. Tony Chimmel, when he would do the superstar, we always loved that, brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Roberts is bad. God, he had one that was real bad last night. I forget what he said, but I was like, what word did he say? Like I can't he's not good, is the Justin Roberts.
No. The whole bullshit when he was trying to make it work, and I think someone told him to cut the shit, but when he was trying to do the Adam Copeland, the rated R super rock.
Well, you'll remember that happened one time because he fucked it up and he like rolled with it and tried to like run to a thing, and then I think for weeks after that he was like, I'm just gonna roll it so people think I did that on purpose. Like now he's stuck doing it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but she also, I agree. I mean, look, if people like her going over the top and acting like a fan and doing it, I guess, right? But it's just not my style. I don't know. And I think, I don't know. It's one of those positions, as much as like, as you said, like I've done it, and you get it when you have a standout voice or can project, right? But it's kind of one of those, like a referee, where if you're getting noticed too much, you kind of weren't doing your job right. You know what I mean? Like, they shouldn't be talking about you after the show unless it's somebody that's just like very specifically niche about that. Like I've had people at events that you paid me to do come up afterwards and be like, I've been doing this 10 years. You're really good. Like, that's cool, right? Like, thanks, right? Like,
right.
But yeah, like I don't want people being like, you know what the best part of the show was? That guy with the voice. Like then I took away from the show. You know what I mean? Like then it wasn't right. Yeah.
Well, and I'm okay with saying this. I think she's faking all of this. I think that she's, I'm gonna cry.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
You're fucking not.
Yeah.
No, you're not. Or if you were, we might need to have someone talk to you because that's weird. But I think she's faking all of this. I do. I think it's all no.
Oh yeah, it's almost like she was like, I see what's getting Pat McAfee over. I'm gonna do that, and it was like,
yes, perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
And again,
right.
Reckless, but I think that you're onto something. There is, well, if you stand on the desk like Pat McAfee and do the
you
thing,
act like you think this is
know.
real, right? Like people love your spirit, and it's like, not when we see that you're acting like you think it's real. You know what I mean? Like that's the issue. Yeah.
I think she's
again, does the portions fine, right? Like speaks clearly, loudly,
Oh, yeah.
does the thing, all
Hear
that.
it.
But
Yeah. Too much. But you know what wasn't too much? Our time tonight. Because
Our
it was
time
just
tonight,
right
yes.
on time.
That
Right
is
on
it.
time.
We've got to bounce out of here, and we will be back next week when we talk about more AW. I'm excited about some of these storylines, and yeah, Todd, sorry we couldn't make it to Iowa. Maybe next time, but you can join us next week on the All Elite Wrap Up.
Iowa.